And now we're live. So, hi everybody, and welcome to Love, Sex, Jealousy, and Peace Candid Talk with Emily, Jasmine Lau, and she's a CF. And would you like to talk a little bit more about yourself and maybe a story or two about love, sex, jealousy, and peace, or
Oh
something
my
different? I know.
a story or two. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Annie and I got certified together last year in Costa Rica in August for CF. So, and I've been using the Access tools for like 2 years now. As for stories with sex, love, jealousy, and peace, I think it's like it's so interesting because probably up until like a week ago, like I had two sort of modes of operating. I could either be single and extremely happy and pretend like I didn't want sex, or that sex was just this like casual, and by sex I mean copulation, was just this casual thing, like whatever. And when I started doing Access, I was like, I'll just do them once or I'll just do them twice, and then I'm done and I don't have to worry about any of that. Or I would find someone that I really liked and I'd get into a relationship with them, and I'd find myself feeling like I had no choice whatsoever about anything I was choosing or being. Like I was literally living out the Notebook, and I kept on, and I just kept watching it happen. I kept watching myself choose like all this trauma and drama, and like I didn't really get why. So that was a lot of fun, and yeah.
Funny
So
how you use the movie Notebook, because I'm like, wow, that's like, the love story. Wow.
right.
Yeah. And how much do we create these stories that's not even relevant to what we are? Oh my God. My brain's already fried. Thank you. Ooh.
Well, and that's when we were talking right before we came live on this show about how it, like love, sex, jealousy, and peace, none of the distractor implants actually exist on planet Earth. And so it's just kind of like how much, first of all, it's like, so they were probably like brought here and implanted here. And, how much energy have we been implanted to use or conditioned to use in order to keep those running as if they do exist? Because it's so intense.
Yeah. Wow. And then you're not in control, you're not in choice, and you don't even really know what you want to choose. You're just like in the story and you're living out the story. And sure, I just said my favorite movie.
My right? I was like,
yeah.
this is like the moment in the Titanic when like those two like old people die together, like sleeping, but like an entire movie, like that moment made into like a whole cinematic production. I remember seeing that movie and being like, that's what I want for my life. Like that's how I want to like live and die with someone.
Oh, that brought
Can we
up
pod
a
pop?
lot for me. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
okay. Everything that is right. I'll give a pop up all shirts towards and beyond. Shreya.
And if you're new to Access, that was the clearing statement. You can go to theclearingstatement.com, and it's just like a magic wand that starts deleting all of that extra stuff that you don't really require energetically. Oh, can we clear that again? There's that whole story and that perfect love story.
Yeah, so all the perfect
Yeah.
love stories and stories we've locked into or out of our bodies, would we now destroy and create all of those?
Yeah.
Right.
Right, wrong, good, love, love. All night, just listen, yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, because for a while I would see these like, that was a horror movie. Totally.
That's a very interesting point of view. I like it.
That's so funny. And that's the other side of the coin, is like resisting and reacting, like, oh my God, I would never want to get married. I would never have kids. You know, it's the same
Like
coin
the
with,
opposite, yeah, the opposite side of the coin.
yeah,
Ooh,
totally. And
what is that?
it's,
There's like,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Just something about the opposite side of the coins. There's some energy around it that's kind of weird. Just, I guess everything that brought up.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, block on my person beyond. So I'm just sharing to a couple of groups. So if I don't respond, I'm so sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not really what do you call it? Super great at multitasking. That's weird, right? Because the women are supposed to be great at multitasking.
And that I've been told that too, that I'm not great at I'm just, I'm great at being aware. I'm not choosing to be aware of you right now or whatever it is. But the thing with the stories, and that's kind of why I shared at the beginning, is like I would have these two modes. It's like I was either, cool girl, Miss Independent, like, yeah, sex is just like for fucking and like whatever. Or I'd be like, I'm going to be with this person for forever. Cause it's like I'm either buying into the story or I'm not. And I think the thing we sort of talked about is like when you're in the story, it feels like you have no choice. And that's the biggest lie. And I think that's why like presence with the distractor implants and like having the willingness and like the discipline when anytime those energies come up to podpoc them is like the most incredible gift.
Yeah. And something else came up. Like, how many people actually want to change it? Like, when they become aware of it, how many people just try to avoid it or run away from it or, like fight it and all these other things instead of just choosing to do something different?
Yeah, totally. And that's
Ouch.
the whole choice thing. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is like we've made, especially when it's like, whatever that is, but it's like, so a lot of the times it's easy to like make something good or something bad just depending on the points of view that exist in the world. There's like so many things right now, and it's like just because something's the most intense energy doesn't mean that it's the most real thing. In fact, it means it's the thing that's everybody's using the most energy to like maintain so that it can exist, because if we stopped maintaining it, then
it'll just be space.
Yeah. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, like isn't that the biggest lie? It's like, yeah, it already exists. There was something else, but I forget.
This is like, it's just totally different from where I thought the conversation will go. It's like, yeah, we just went from like the heaviest thing of love, sex, jealousy, and peace and went to space in like 8 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, everybody, we're done. Anyone have questions?
So cool.
Yeah. What if you can have the relationship or what it is that you wanted to create from space and from being you and being present with what would work for you and being that space, and the other person receiving that space and being that space, and that's so, I almost cursed. That's so different.
Oh, can we not curse? Let's get
from how.
Okay.
Oh no, I like I'm supposed to be the good Asian mom.
Oh, yes.
I can't curse.
Yes.
Yeah, you can curse.
Okay.
You can. It's fine. Okay.
And that's something I've noticed about
Yeah.
space in relationship is I think so I think recently it's like I'm starting as I'm meeting more people who are being the space that I would like to have as my life and my future. I've found that like sometimes because it's so much space, I will go back to the distractor implants to try to define it to create a sense of like security or solidity for myself to be like, okay, I have this thing, like it actually exists. But sometimes because it's so much space, I have to get used to like not trying to find it and not trying to find the other person because, you know, um like space, you know?
Yeah.
So
And we have a question. What is the best way to create space? Oh, well, do you have more information regarding that? Like, where do you want to create the space? Or just, do you want to, is it like in a certain area of your life or to create that space with relationships?
yeah, and I think I might have heard this on someone else you interviewed's call about like what are you not giving yourself that you're expecting someone else to give you because it's like that space exists when you have it with yourself and then two people can come together and you know I think isn't it's like an acknowledgement of just the fact that we are the space between the molecules and yeah that all the other intensities take a lot of our energy to create so and I would probably add here that it's not necessarily bad to like you know choose to be in story or like choose intensity it's just like you know if you're having fun with it that's the other thing is it's kind of like fun like that's why I chose it was because it was like oh my god he's like dripping wet in the rain and we're like angry at each other and we're gonna go have like makeup sex later and it's gonna bring us closer together than ever and I'll know that our relationship has value because we went through this like you know this hardship together. So
Oh my gosh.
everywhere where we've created value in our relationships through trauma and drama as proof of their value would we destroy and uncreate it all.
Oh, yes. Right around Gazetta, Fuck All Night, Just Sports and Beyond. Yeah, that is that movie, that stylized movie version of reality where you have like, you know, the makeup sex and like the romantic you know that whole scene in the rain and like and what if you can have that but not from the trauma and drama and just the 10-second creation of like hey that'll be fun let's do that.
Yeah, totally.
Ooh.
Wow.
No. Well yeah, basically generally in life. Okay, so creating space generally in life. Okay.
Annie, would you like to take it away?
Yes. um, so I like what you were talking about earlier, where if you have it, and if you acknowledge it, like in you, then you can have that space. So what if space isn't just like one space? What if it's like all the different spaces? Like, let's say you're with another person and you can acknowledge the space they be. You can start being that space. And then when you be that space, maybe it'll create more ease when being with that person. Like when we're together, we're a totally different space than when we're like apart, right? Like it's just that's how we're interacting. And when like my kids are here, it's like a totally different space. So what if you could just be an allowance of the space that you're being and then expand that? And then could you just continually expand? I don't know. Does that make sense? That's just what.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's so funny because I actually hadn't ever really considered it though. Like what you said opened up this new thing for me. Is like when you're coming together, you're being a different space with each other than you would if you're alone. Because a lot of the times I'll function from like, I'm alone and I like being alone actually,
Yeah.
and having my space. And then when somebody else comes into it, we're all so aware and I'm so aware. It's like I don't feel like I have that space anymore. Rather than acknowledging that when two spaces come together, something greater could actually occur.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When you said that, I just had like goosebumps.
So totally.
I
You
love
said
that.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
but when you said it, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. That's funny because I'm doing my first group symphony taster but on my own, and I called it aloneness. So when you were talking about that space of being alone, and then you kind of put it into words where you're with another person and you become like a different space just by being together and you create greater, that's like that's it. Like what if that's how we can create greater? And that's why whenever we're in access classes, like there's such a different space and like a different invitation to more possibilities than like if we were, at home or just like hanging out or something.
Totally. What does it? Yeah, wow.
Okay, that's not me. That's someone using my page.
You're that good at
What does it?
multitasking.
What? I cloned myself. What does it take to have to come together and have 200 times more space?
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not have a point of view about it. Continually choose greater. Keep asking questions. Be the question.
It's just so, man, it's like every single day, it's like it just gets more and more clear to me that all the things that I thought were like dense and contracted and like real, like all the things I thought were real, like are actually the things that are the most unreal, like all the points of view, all the judgments, all the distractors, all the projections, like all of those things are like the things that are the most unreal. And what would it be like just to withdraw our energy from all of it? It's making me laugh.
Oh my gosh. How much more energy do we have to create our life? Hashtag no point of view, hashtag live from question, hashtag POC and pod distractors. Thank you. Controller. I was call whoever's controlling the live stream controller. Okay, cool. Someone's asking, talk about how the distractors are flipping the coin on the edge instead of flipping the coin. From awareness instead of conclusion. Shreya saying, I'm gonna get my bars from now. You guys are changing stuff. Yay! We're glad we're changing stuff.
So cool.
Yeah, so.
What? I don't think I really understood the coin question.
Distractors are flipping the coin on the edge instead of flipping the coin. Can we have more information about that?
The way, yeah, I don't know if I've never heard that before,
Yeah.
but I feel like for me personally, what would happen when distractor implants would come up, I was like being a very like conscious person and I would sit, my partner down, for example, and be like, okay, I just need to let you know that I feel this way and this is my truth and this is what's happening with me. And like, your actions are creating like this jealousy in me, and it'd be great if you could just stop doing this thing so I could stop feeling jealous. And that's my truth, and that's how I feel, so I feel really justified in sharing it. And we're having a very conscious relationship because I can share my feelings with you, and you can like adhere to like my requests, and I'm, you know, all this stuff. And it's so cool because I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that kind of communication. However, it's like every time I tried to dive in to like the jealousy, for example, I'd be like, okay, what is causing this jealousy? What am I not doing, you know, to have this jealousy come up? Da, 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 da. I thought at some point I would find the source. It's like, if, you know, for example, like if I were prettier, this wouldn't be happening, or something like that, like some answer to why this distraction was happening. But it's like, it never happened. I just kept, and I'd be like so far down in the rabbit hole. And, you know, eventually like whoever I was with was like, this isn't fun for me anymore. Like, you're not, it's not, nothing's changing. It's just, it's like a cycle that feeds itself. So, and I think that's kind of how I'm understanding the question is, it's not like, what was I going to say? It's pretty much, it's like you can't go into a distractor. Yay!
A special guest. This is a complete surprise.
Hey guys, how are you? Controller here. How y'all be?
Hi.
Okay.
Good.
Hey, I don't want to steal.
What a great surprise!
I know. Thank you for inviting me on to, you know, help you guys get more information out to the world around the distractors. So the post about flipping the coin or riding the edge was something Gary talked about many times. And it was like, if you don't know, you can clear the distractors. Like, okay, here's love. It's like a clamshell on top of what's possible. Okay, so the fist, there we go. So the fist is what's possible. Everyone knows, okay? And here's the distractor. Guess what? We're going to call it love, so you can't actually get to what it is. So now you have to do love or not love. Fuck you or I love you, in short. I'm not Asian, so I can say fuck, shit, piss, all that stuff. Okay. So, and I don't care if I get kicked off of Facebook because it might be fun, you know? Anyway, staying on point. What if you use the distractor implants, use these clearings to clear them, because these are things that actually aren't real. They're like farcical realities. They're like illusions. But we get rid of the illusion, and guess what? Now we can turn what we seek on edge and actually have it, be it, change it, and be beyond it. So you're like riding the edge of the coin instead of having to flip between positive and negative. It's like the third choice that nobody even wants to ask if it's possible.
Cool.
Didn't mean to steal the light here, but thanks for asking. I hope that helps.
Can you stay on, Matt?
Yeah.
Can I what?
Can you stay on?
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to. Let me see. Can I still control everything and stay on? Sure, why not? I'm pretty multitasking. I'm really just a girl inside. I know. Okay.
Oh my gosh, Matt, you're more of a girl than I am.
But
Okay.
you know, but really, you know, if everybody could, if you didn't have to actually try to fight for these things we desire, or fight against these things we desire, and there was a third possibility that was like wide as the sky. It was like the rest of the rainbow, you know? It wasn't the black, it wasn't the white. It was all the colors that we knew were possible, but we can never find. That's like what I find is possible when we clear the distractor implants. So could you ladies talk a little bit about maybe distractor implants that you guys have already cleared and talk about, like how your life is now, because there's like 26, I believe, distractors that are the foundation of this entire reality that's supposed to be right, that always kind of just create the same repeat occurrence. That was a run-on sentence, wasn't it? Yeah, I can tell. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a short version. Sorry.
So, yeah, can you repeat it, please?
Yeah, I invented the run-on sentence, and I've been waiting my whole life for somebody to pay me for it, but it's not going to happen. So if these distractor implants of love, sex, jealousy, and peace, which is your call right now, if they didn't exist, if you said, I'm having my life without love, without sex, without jealousy, and without peace, would you take a tremendous, courageous commitment to yourself to say, okay, this is going to be my life? If you did that, would that open a door from having to flip between love, no love, to what's beyond love? The question nobody wants to ask.
So what is beyond love?
Can I leave you CFs to continue this conversation? I don't want to steal your fire because you guys
are. Yeah. Like, guys, if you don't know Matt, he's a veteran. He's been in Access for older than all of my kids combined.
Oh God, I'm such an old person. Yeah, this is true.
So it's funny that you're handing it off to us and we're like kind of the newbies.
Yeah, well, let me talk a little bit about that. It's like I've been at this for a while, like almost 12 years, but that key point is like all the work that, you call the veterans or everything we cleared and changed for all of us in the world is available now for all of us in the world to have. Like, now you guys get a fucking cheat. You get a shortcut. Would you take it and run with it? Please, 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 please. Dr. Dane talks about this all the time. Would you just, if you were like to just step into this with like such great enthusiasm and, vivacity and possibility and like, yes, I can change shit for other people and my life's going to be awesome at the same time, would you do it? I always feel like most of the time, I don't know what that is talking about. Anyway, not to steal all your fire. You guys are awesome. I'd love to hear more about what your lives would be if you said, okay, I'm not going to choose jealousy anymore. I'm just having that. I'm having that. That's my future from this moment forward. I'm just no more jealousy. Fuck that shit. And that's and how the distractor implants, when you clear them, that actually is what shows up. Because as soon as you clear the distractor implant, you're never going to run into that problem again around the energy of that situation. It's like, done. It's so beautiful. Gary and Dane are like such magical beings to bring this. You just get to clear it, be done with it, and I get to roll forward into something much greater now.
So funny. It's so funny, Matt, you came on and you started talking about clams and like rims, and I was like, I'm just thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff.
Like seafood. I know, I love seafood. I just ate like lobster. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, the whole coin thing is like, every coin has two sides. Annie often, she brings in her gold coin, which is such a beautiful thing. It's like this energy of elegance and wealth. There we go. She's got it, right? And it's got two sides.
It facilitates with me.
Yeah. So everyone's naturally going to gravitate to one side or the other. Can you show us that beautiful coin for just a little longer too? Yeah. Like up close and personal. Yeah. So like we're looking at the back side, I believe now. Okay. So you obviously, everybody's going to have a
Yeah.
point of view. I'm looking at the back side of a gold coin. Okay. So get your point of view, whatever it is. It's like a reaction or a feeling or sensation or like a contraction. And now we're looking at the front side. You're like, is this the right side of the coin for you? Is the front side or the back side? Oh, great. I've only got two choices in my entire reality around this gold coin. Is that enough for you? Right? So now if you were to turn it on edge and ride the edge of the coin, how is the edge of the coin for you around love, sex, jealousy, or peace? Is it like, whoa, there's no point of view on the edge? It's like the creative edge of possibility. There's no point of view there. And you get the creative edge when you're not functioning, or, you know, I still function from a bunch of the distractors. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I'm kind of like professionally fucked up in many ways, but I'm going to change all this shit. But when I get to the point around one of these distractors and start functioning from the edge, how much more is open and available to me in, you know, whatever I'm pursuing, you know, like business is also a distractor implant. Okay. How come? Because everybody thinks it sucks. So there's already this backside of the coin point of view that you get to buy when you go, like Emily, you're 20 some, late 20s, right? And you get to go start a new business, your CF business, let's say. And you're like, everybody in the world, 8.35 billion people already have the point of view that it's going to suck. And are you an aware person?
Yeah, that's the coolest thing is, oh, I can hear myself. I heard it, I think it was when you were talking with Cheyenne Connor earlier last week about the fact that we are aware of other people functioning from distractors. So it's so cool to actually acknowledge that and then to podpoc those too, because I mean, we have that ability.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's it. And literally, it's like magic wand stuff that nobody wants to believe is possible. You know, and Ryan T talked about it on the last distractor call ever so elegantly. And he's like, nobody even wants to look at changing these because it's good enough just to have that chemical adrenaline rush of going into, oh my God, it's going to happen. Shit, it didn't happen. You know, sort of thing. But if you're like willing to say, well, what would my life be like? But it's just didn't, you know, choose to have. What's your favorite one out of the four here, Emily? Love, sex, jealousy, peace.
Jealousy.
Jealousy. Okay, so what would your life be like if you just said, okay, I'm gonna have my reality without jealousy. I'm gonna be aware of it, but I'm not gonna empower it, not gonna choose it, not gonna react to it, gonna be in total action when it shows up because I'm just gonna walk around it. Ta-ta, bye-bye. Yeah.
And I think
that's what clearing them does.
That's the thing about choosing beyond them too, is I mean, it takes an immense amount of courage and also just awareness, because it's so normal, and it's like it's so easy to, because for me, when I really started looking at this seriously, it was like I felt like I was going to lose everything, and the purpose of jealousy is to make sure that everything stays the same. So if I'm afraid to lose what I have because I think that's as good as it's going to get, or for whatever reason it's providing me a sense of security and connection to the world that I had, or I think I need to have, then it was, I mean, it did. It was like, I really sort of had to be with, am I willing to lose everything? And actually, you know, experience like what that would be like. And I mean, I think there's a lot of room in that for having the courage to have everything too. Because that's sort of where I was functioning from was, you know, I knew about need as an invention. I knew about, you know, the elegance of being needless, and, you know, would an infinite being truly be needless? But when it came down to it, it was like there was so much of my life where I had spent alone and feeling like I was separate, and like, you know, that I needed people. And it was it was interesting because as you're talking about it, Matt, it's like the zeros and ones, you know, of the matrix. It's like it's on or it's off. It's on or it's off. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, and then yeah, it went out of my head again. I felt like there was something else I was gonna say, but I'm gonna forget what it was.
Sure.
Yeah,
And the zeros and ones. Yeah, it's like there's zeros and ones. It's on, it's off, it's negative, it's positive. And what if there was beyond 0 and 1, and there was like what you guys talked about before? There was like space. There was like new creations. There was like, oh wow, I'm having happy all the time. Gee whiz, I can't find my problems anymore.
So what popped for me when you were talking about that was the meeting people piece. And like, I like how you muted yourself. So Matt tends to like, in case nobody knows, Matt is actually my coach over here. He's so he's getting me to step up and talk more by talking over me. Great wedgie. I love it. Yeah.
By the way, this is only Annie's call, but I'm going to keep talking over you guys because they think I'm better than them. I don't really get it, but I'm in total allowance because I like them. They're good people, for fuck's sake. Okay, so whatever I got to do, you know, I got to give them a wedgie, which isn't what you guys think it is. If this is the first time you've heard one of these podcasts, but ask the ladies, the CFs here, if you want to know more about what a wedgie is, because that opens doors in your future that didn't exist before.
Or you can hire Matt as your coach.
Or you can hire Matt as your coach. What she said is the best thing to say when you're a coach. You're just like what she said.
So
yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered the thing I was going to say actually before was, so for like the longest, so I grew up and had certain experiences and started to believe that like the universe, or that I couldn't be with people, or that when I was with people, I'd be codependent, or, you know, that I'd be alone. And if I didn't need people, then people wouldn't show up. And like all these beliefs started building in my world from just being aware of what's true here on earth, what people have aligned and agreed to be true here, and just through conditioning and, you know, buying points of view from whether it be movies or people or whatever. And it was so interesting because the other day I was talking to Heather Nichols, and we were having a conversation about when you create a belief, or when something happens in your life and you feel like you need to hold on to it to make sure it never happens again. So like I went through a period of like depression and isolation in my life that was incredibly intense. And there was somewhere in my world, I decided, I was like, that's never going to happen again. So I sort of had to like keep it in my universe, or like, I'm never going to be abused again, or like, I'm never going to be abusive again. And all these things just sort of like stuck in my world because I was so clear that I never wanted it to happen again. And by doing that, I sort of locked them in my world so that I was constantly attracting it into my life and choosing it. So it was so cool to be like, wow, like if, and this is how this is what it's been like the past few days. It's like, if this wasn't even relevant to me anymore, like I wouldn't have to hold it here and I wouldn't have to keep attracting it into my life. So, you know, it's like, what if all of it really wasn't relevant? What if the intensity of the points of view, the most commonly agreed upon points of view, like what if they really were just not relevant? We didn't even have to like hold it in our universe to make sure that it didn't come in.
Yeah. And then we'd get to the space that we were talking about so much in this call. Yeah.
I just see ladies like running around town on huge gold coins on the edge.
I'd have some of that.
I'm probably delusional, but I kind of like to think out of the box. Yeah.
I think those would be great rim jobs to be giving.
Like, okay, so Guys, I don't know what a rim job is.
Oh, I think
It's for another call that we're doing in the future. We just haven't created it yet. I'm sure of this. But I don't know what it is here. So what else?
Right, right, rim job for you.
My rim job for you.
Right,
It's where
rim
you
job for you.
put new wheels on your car.
Oh my god.
It's called a rim job.
Oh, like rims.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
exactly. Yeah.
Like the
'Cause
ones that spin like in opposite directions. Yeah.
the spinny things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mhm. Right.
Okay.
I love this.
So-
I can't. Emily's probably not doing any SEX calls in the future, is she?
Oh, will you be?
Okay, that was kind of light, I guess, being a CF and all, she probably is. Okay. So if you guys want to know more about that, Emily Jasmine Lau, hello. If you want classes, you want to know what else is possible beyond the distractor implants, she's the woman to call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's something that you talked about, Matt, that I think would be great to like tie in here is it's like, okay, how do I say this? So coming into Access, right? You find the Access tools, and there are people who've been using the Access tools for 20, 10, 15 years. And what I've noticed is sometimes it's like I have the point of view that there's like when you first come in, you start working the tools, there's like so much you have to clear because, someone who's been doing Access has been clearing distractors. So they're probably somewhere like here. And if I'm coming in, then I have like a tower of distraction and I need to clear it. I'm so behind and I'm never going to catch up. And it's so interesting because I do think the more you use the tools, the more it's going to create. And the thing that Matt said about it's already been cleared. Like all we have to do is choose, and we have the kingdom of we when it comes to, how far everything's gone. Like we really are moving together in this journey of consciousness. And so often I like to separate myself or make myself inferior to whomever. And that's the same thing too, is eventually if you make someone superior than you, eventually you're going to have to knock them off the pedestal and do the opposite. Yeah. But it's like, if we're all, go ahead.
No, it's great. Yeah. If you make somebody above you, you eventually are going to be looking up their butthole. And that one thing that you're going to think they're an asshole, and you have to make them wrong and kick them out of your life. So
I like assholes though.
Yeah.
I know. I have spared up a few myself. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But so can you guys just talk about, like from just like a real world view, what are the distractors? And how would somebody off the street, how could you guys talk in a way that only you guys can speak, that explain what the distractors are and what their life might be like if they choose to clear them? Let's pick one. Annie, what's your favorite? One. Or no, Annie, what's your least significant one that you actually have a handle on? Doesn't bother you. You've already cleared it.
Oh. I don't know. Peace?
Peace.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
It's like so easy to just like get to the beautiful space underneath. Like there's Dr. Dean here is co-creator of Access Consciousness. He talks about this space that's underneath and through everything, like in this reality, and you just tap into that space and it's like space. So
yeah. That's great.
But on top of it, it's all the junk and all the like crap and all of the fighting and drama, trauma, all of that stuff. But you could just tap into that space, and I don't really know how to explain it. It's just something you do.
I think you just did. Yeah. It's like in peace as a distractor means you have to have a war so that you have something to overcome, so you get to the peace. real world example of that is you have to have a problem with your relationship so you can get over the problem and have something greater. That sounds dumb to me, but maybe I'm weird that way, right? What if you just had, like Annie's speaking to, what if you just had peace in your relationship to business, to your partner, to your dog, in Emily's case? I bet she has huge problems with her cute little dog. No, she's at peace with it. That's cool. She's cleared the distractor implants in that particular aspect of your life. So when you start acknowledging these places where you that's your corner of the room. You've got that nailed. It's easy over there. Whatever that thing is, and you acknowledge it, it kind of turns on some lights upstairs, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I kind of like to have that same dynamic that I have, like an Emily's scene with her dog. I'd like to have that with money. Money just shows up and its tails wags, and it's like, what will it take for me to get in your lap? Money, 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 sort of thing, you know, for lack of a better word. But you guys get that?
That is
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like some of that.
Yeah.
Or
So,
with a lover, or with anything else, with a new home.
yeah.
Ooh.
Right? I did the same thing. I built my own home. It was my lover for 12 years because it was the labor of love of my life. Every day after work, I'd come home and work another 6 hours and build my house and add new things and expand it and make it more, you know, elegant and at a new level, or build a treehouse or whatever it was that day. And it's that same thing. I had a tremendous amount of ease with it. So if you get rid of all these distractor implants, if you like diligently commit to yourself and clear everywhere where you're in, what did they say, Annie? Reaction instead of action around something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you clear these and you stop reacting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing about distractors too. It's like it gives you the impression that you're fighting for something, but all you're doing is fighting against, whether it be yourself or whatever it is. It's the illusion of fighting for.
The illusion of fighting for this. So beautifully put. Yeah. It's like, and then your business can just show up. The business of your life, you know. So many people are doing distractor implant of business thinking, I do business. This is an example, you guys, if you're new to this. Business, and then at the end of the day, I'm going to turn it over and I'm not going to be doing business. I'm going to turn my business off because it's the other side of the coin. And now I'm going to do not business or funny business or fun business, whatever it is. But that's like putting a meat cleaver through the middle of your life and cutting it into two pieces and separating everything you are into two separate corners instead of having it all. It doesn't work for me. So if any of that made sense for any of you guys and you want more, get a hold of these ladies. They're bank. And when I say bank, they're worth every dime that you're going to be putting into a class or possibility, or even listening to their free Facebook Lives like this, because these tools are to create a place where we can have a happy planet, where people can choose for themselves, where people don't have to fight against fuck all, and we just have a good time.
Totally.
Good, bad, right, wrong, top, bottom, line, boys and meows. Okay, I'm done. I feel like I stole the lamp again.
All right. So how about you, Emily? Which one of these four aren't you, like, which one of those are you actually like okay with? Like you're doing, oh, not left. Okay. So which one of these are you like, I guess, for lack of better words, at peace with?
All the distractors. Yeah. I don't, for me, I feel like there's still, I mean, there's always more stuff to become aware of. Like, I would never want to, I've never, well, I was gonna say it's like I would never think that I would never stop becoming aware of them. Like there might be a time where it's like, okay, you know, the distractor implants are no longer running our lives, but for me, that's really interesting. Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question, I guess. I think I'm really just beginning the journey. Like I just started reading the book last week. I listened to the telecalls for CF, but it's like I feel like I'm really just getting to know them. And let go of them. And it does seem like there's a lot less work to do. But I mean, and I think the way that they're ordered is really incredible. It's like anger, rage, fury, hate being the first set. Because I did realize that those would be that was like my first line of defense. And when I started clearing anger, it's like, okay, anger didn't come up anymore, but like what was underneath that? And it was like the next set of distractor implants. So yeah, I think it is amazing the way that they're listed and set up to work with each other. And yeah, I mean, I'm sort of looking at my life now, you know, is like, where am I staying like vigilant? Where am I actually making them relevant to me? Because if they really don't exist, then they're not relevant to my life, then a similar conversation we were having earlier, maybe I don't have to hold on to them so diligently and like look for them in my life, but just be aware if it comes up, I can just podpoc them and move forward.
Yeah. Like I how do you find it reading through the book, like by yourself, or are you how are you doing it? Like just reading through it, or are you doing a book club with other people, or how? Because for me, it's hard. It's really hard to focus on it and actually go through it unless I'm doing a class.
Right. I've seen classes on them. I haven't done a book club on the distractor implants, but it is funny because in the book, Dane says somewhere like, notice how a lot of you are getting distracted and notice the topic that we're talking about. Because it's like, it's exactly that thing. So, and that was what happened when you asked me to talk on your show today. I was so excited because you've had some amazing people come on and talk with you. And there's a part of me that's like, you know, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like really just starting to get into this stuff. But I think that's where it's like there aren't levels to this shit. I think they say that in like a rap song or something. Like there really aren't levels.
Yeah.
It's just how much of your life are you willing to be present with and, you know, choose in the moment, in every moment. Because I do imagine that over time it's that practice, you know, you're really inviting yourself into a practice of presence with your life. And that's why when you ask like which one are you comfortable with, it's like, yeah, it's like I can imagine podpocking to a point where I don't have to think about it anymore, but I would at this point not dare to think that I'm impervious to it. You know, like I would love to continue staying aware and changing as these things change on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like another level that came up was that how many of you are actually aware of other people's distractor implants?
Right.
And maybe it's not even yours to begin with. So it's a constant like being aware and being like knowing what's true for you and what's not true for you and what's other people's and what's an invention and what's a distractor. And I like okay, how much of your life are you willing to be present with? I love that.
Yeah. And then it gets really interesting because in the book, they also talk about like, are you willing to activate other people's distractor implants? Like, are you willing to use them if you know it's not real? And that like opens a whole universe of possibilities. Because yeah, it's like so much of this reality is programmed, is set up to activate our distractor implants. And if everything you're not willing to be controls you, so are you willing to activate other people's distractor implants to create greater? And maybe like to fuck with people. I think there's somewhere in room for that too. But like, you know, what is there's whole universes.
Yeah. And that's so funny because earlier we were talking about Connor's call today, and it was so brilliant that like you asked the question and it was actually like what everybody required to hear. I had a question that I wanted to ask, but then like whatever you asked like kind of shifted it, and it, it was, and then when you talked about Gary and Dane saying to use the distractors and activate it in other people to get like what you want, basically like a result, or to get them to see what they're doing, or some other whatever it is that you wanted to have happen. That's actually what happened to me in my relationship last night, where I was activating like his distractors like crazy. And this morning, it was like I had such a level of allowance for my insignificant other that he showed up as a completely different person. So, oh, yeah, what can you use the distractors for? And if you're not under or at the effect of it, how much more ease can you have in your life? Whew. Okay, so everything that I brought up, right, wrong, good, so fast, and should place in the end. Okay.
Yeah. And as you were talking, I was reminded, like in my most recent relationship that I had, it was funny because I would operate from distractor implant, and then I'd be ridiculous. I'd be like Looney Tunes, crazy, 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 crazy. And then he would turn around and pretend to be that with me, and he'd like direct that intensity of energy at me. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. Like, I love it when he does that. I love it when he pretends to be jealous. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, I thought that if I reacted that intensely towards someone or something, that it meant I cared about them. Like, it was just this whole like can of worms of, fuck, I love it when you're jealous. And like, I love feeling like, you know, I'm in control. And it's like, okay, cool, amazing. And like, was that actually going to create what I would like to create? Because I think that's the other thing too. It's so easy to go out into the world and look at the relationships people are creating and being like, that's so fucked up. Like, I would never like want that. But that's, you know, the other side of the coin. And it's like, okay, cool. So if that doesn't work for me, and, you know, if it's fun to like play with that energy, like create a space to do it. But like, if I no longer need to pretend like I'm not choosing what I'm choosing, then what is actually possible?
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, there's so much. So we've been on for almost an hour. Is there okay, does anybody else have any questions? Just put it on the chat and we'll see it. Our controller guy will put it up on the screen. We'll be able to see it.
Hey guys, Emily.
Okay, or put him on the screen.
Yeah, Emily, how can people find you if they've been inspired by anything you had to say on this call? Do you have a website, email address? How do you go?
Yeah, you can find me, Emily Jasmine Lau. I have a website, emilyjasminelau.com, emilyjasminelau@gmail.com, or you can look me up on Facebook, Emily Jasmine Lau, and then my CF page, Emily Jasmine Lau CF.
Okay, we've got a lot of options here. Can you tell me what your email is one more time?
emilyjasminelau@gmail.com.
Okay, gmail.com. Awesome. God, thanks guys. Thank everyone who was on this call today. Thank you for, checking in with these lovely and potent people that are here to empower you, to give you tools so you can change your world, so you don't have to keep doing the sit and spin routine around some aspect of your life. Unless you like sit and spin, that's cool, But the ones where you're like, okay, I'm just dizzy all the time. What else is possible than sit and spin? Talk to these ladies. Yes. And thank you for letting me host you. God, the future that I sense is coming up is going to be created by women. By warrior women, by women with an intensity of drive and determination and commitment to having a kind and caring world. And I want to be part of it. I'm here. How can I help? Let's do this.
Yeah. I've been, by the way, listening to the lady calls too, and I hear that the lady's going to be a book that's coming out. So incredible.
Yes, the lady
I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
When it comes out, would you like to do a book club on it?
I would. Yes. Let's follow that. Let's
Okay.
follow that.
Right.
And then
Cool.
Annie, I can't wait for your SOP session on Monday. It's Monday,
Yes.
right? I'm signed up for
Monday.
Yeah.
Cool. So excited.
Yeah.
So Osang says, thanks Emily, Matt, and everyone. And Ashif has a blank comment. That's weird. Okay, so if you would like to find Emily, she's at emilyjasminelau.com. And cool. How does it get any better than this? And thank you everybody for joining. Yeah, what can we change? What can we create in the world?
Yay. Happy world. Let's do this.
Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Annie. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.